What the hell is she wearing?
Watch this.
Now let's have a look at Meghan Markle being weird and inauthentic.
Meghan is sitting next to Markus Anderson, supposedly one of her closest friends, and the man who's helped her navigate elite social circles for years. A model walks down the runway. Meghan leans over and lets out a loud theatrical laugh.
Why would she do this?
And Markus, he doesn't move, doesn't smile, doesn't even glance at her. He keeps his eyes locked on the runway like Meghan doesn't exist. Like she's not even there. Meghan's face freezes. The laugh dies in her throat. Panic flickers across her eyes before she desperately starts digging through her handbag, trying to hide her humiliation. This is the story of how Meghan Markle got rejected by her own friend at the same fashion show where she'd already been ignored by European royalty. And it gets so much worse than you think. What's up, GossipSlice fam? And if you watched our viral video about Meghan getting snubbed by Dame Kristen Scott Thomas at Balenciaga, you need to see this because that wasn't even the most embarrassing thing that happened to her that day.
Okay, no, that is not clickbait. I'm actually worried about Meghan. So yes, this I'm not gonna lie, this is something that is concerning. Even in the middle of the fashion show, Meghan looks unhappy and unwell. Everyone's face is upturned and engaged except Meghan. We know that Meghan can do better than this. Yeah, you see this. People are engaged at the moment and you see Meghan is kind of not there.
Meghan Markle showed up to Paris Fashion Week thinking she could redeem herself, thinking she could prove she belongs in the fashion world's elite circles. Instead, she got publicly rejected not by a stranger, but by Markus Anderson, one of her oldest friends and social connections. The laugh that was supposed to show she was comfortable and confident backfired so spectacularly that body language experts are still analyzing the cringe. And when your own friend won't even acknowledge you at a fashion show, that's not just awkward. That's a message. Smash that like button right now, because what I'm about to break down proves that Meghan Markle is losing support even from her inner circle. And if you don't hit subscribe before this video ends, you'll miss the part where we reveal why Markus Anderson's silence might be about way more than just fashion show etiquette.
But we need to talk about this whole Balenciaga.
Let's start with why Meghan was even at Balenciaga, because the timing of this trip is extremely suspicious and tells you everything about her motives. Meghan arrived in Paris alone. No Prince Harry. Officially, she was there to support Pier Paolo Pacioli of Valentino and to attend fashion events as someone who supposedly has influence in that world.
Here she is swanning around like she's Queen Cersei in Game of Thrones, and let's have a look at this rather awkward encounter with Pier Paolo Pacioli. He's the creative director of Balenciaga.
But here's what was happening in the UK at the exact same time. Catherine, Princess of Wales, was dominating headlines with flawless public appearances. Kate was getting praised for her grace, her style, her commitment to royal duties. The British press was falling all over themselves talking about what a perfect princess she is. And suddenly, Meghan Markle books a solo trip to Paris Fashion Week. Critics immediately pointed out that this looked less like a friendly visit to support fashion designers and more like a calculated countermove in the never-ending battle between Meghan and Kate for public perception.
It was her moment to shine. And what was happening here? Why is she so shiny? She looks like she's being dipped in Vaseline.
Meghan needed a win. She needed headlines. She needed to show that she's still relevant in elite circles, that she's still someone who matters in the worlds of fashion and celebrity. What she got instead was a masterclass in public humiliation that made her look more desperate and isolated than ever before.
Oh yes, that was awkward. Let's have another look at it.
So let's talk about who Markus Anderson actually is. Because understanding their relationship makes what happened at Balenciaga so much more devastating. Markus Anderson has been described as Meghan's fixer, her social connector, the person who helped her navigate elite circles when she was just an actress on a cable show trying to break into higher society. He's been a friend and confidant for years. He works for Soho House, the exclusive members-only club where celebrities and wealthy people network. He has connections to everyone in fashion, entertainment, and high society. He's the kind of person you want sitting next to you at a fashion show because he knows everyone, understands all the unspoken rules, and can make introductions that matter. Meghan brought him to Balenciaga specifically to be her guide, to help her navigate the strict codes of couture etiquette, to make sure she didn't embarrass herself in a room full of fashion's most powerful people. But from the moment they sat down, something was off. Body language experts who've analyzed the footage point out that Markus's posture was closed off from the beginning. He wasn't leaning toward her. He wasn't engaging with her whispers and comments. Meghan, meanwhile, was fidgeting constantly, whispering, looking around desperately for engagement or acknowledgement. In the world of high fashion, where silence and stillness are expected during shows, this kind of behavior reads as either extreme insecurity or entitled arrogance. And Markus was clearly not here for it. And then came the moment that went viral, the moment that body language experts are still dissecting, the moment that crystallized everything wrong with Meghan's attempt to be accepted by elite society. A model walks down the Balenciaga runway. The room is silent, as it's supposed to be during shows. Everyone is focused on the fashion, the presentation, the artistry. And Meghan Markle lets out a loud, theatrical laugh. It wasn't a polite giggle. It wasn't a quiet chuckle quickly stifled. It was a full, attention-seeking laugh that echoed across a room designed for silence and reverence. For a split second, every eye in that room darted toward her. Not because people were impressed or amused, because she'd violated one of the fundamental rules of fashion show etiquette. Fashion shows are treated like art galleries or classical music concerts. You don't disrupt. You don't draw attention to yourself. You don't make noise that pulls focus from the presentation. The whole point is to appreciate what's being shown, not to perform for the cameras or make yourself the center of attention. But Meghan either didn't know that rule or thought it didn't apply to her. And in that moment, she exposed herself as someone who fundamentally doesn't understand or respect the world she's desperately trying to be part of. Now, here's where it gets absolutely devastating. Because Meghan clearly expected Markus to respond to her laugh, to engage with whatever comment or observation had made her laugh, to validate her and make her feel like she belonged in that moment. Watch Markus's reaction carefully, because it's one of the coldest things you'll ever see. He doesn't move, not even slightly. His face remains completely neutral, focused on the runway. He doesn't smile, he doesn't glance at Meghan. He doesn't give even the smallest acknowledgement that she exists. His body stays perfectly still, shoulders squared toward the runway and away from Meghan. It's the exact same body language that Dame Kristen Scott Thomas had used earlier to ignore Meghan. Complete, total, deliberate non-acknowledgement. Meghan's face tells you everything. Watch how the laugh dies in her throat, how her smile freezes and then starts to crack, how panic and humiliation flicker across her expression as she realizes that her own friend just publicly rejected her. And then comes the part that makes this so painful to watch. Meghan, desperate to hide her embarrassment, starts frantically digging through her handbag, pretending to look for something, giving herself a reason to look down, to avoid eye contact, to escape from the moment she just created. That's not confidence. That's not someone comfortable in elite spaces. That's someone who just realized they made a massive mistake, and their own friend isn't going to help them recover from it. Within hours of the show ending, clips of this moment were everywhere. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Everyone was analyzing what had just happened and what it meant. Body language experts were brutal in their assessments. They pointed out that Meghan's laugh was performative, designed to show cameras that she was having fun and fitting in. But the loudness and timing of it betrayed her insecurity, her desperate need for validation and attention. They analyzed how Meghan kept whispering to Markus throughout the show, trying to engage him in conversation when silence was expected, how her constant fidgeting and movement screamed discomfort rather than confidence. And then they dissected Markus's response, or lack thereof. His body language was described as protective distance, someone who was physically present, but emotionally and socially checked out. Someone who had decided not to be associated with whatever Meghan was doing. The comment sections were savage. People called it secondhand embarrassment on a global scale. They compared it to the Kristen Scott Thomas snub and argued about which was worse, being ignored by a stranger or being rejected by your own friend. Fashion insiders weighed in too, explaining that Meghan's behavior during the show violated multiple unspoken rules that everyone in that world understands. And they pointed out that Markus Anderson, as someone who works in that world, would have been acutely aware of those violations and embarrassed to be associated with them. But there's an even darker layer to this story that most people missed in all the focus on the awkward moment. And it's a question that honestly makes Meghan's presence at this event even more problematic. Why was Meghan Markle at Balenciaga at all?
Who is guiding this woman? Who is working with this woman?
Because just months before Paris Fashion Week, Balenciaga had been embroiled in one of the most disturbing controversies in recent fashion history. They released ad campaigns that featured children alongside BDSM-themed props and references to child exploitation court documents. The backlash was massive and immediate. Celebrities cut ties with the brand, people called for boycotts, the internet was united in condemning what appeared to be the sexualization of children in high fashion advertising. And yet, Meghan Markle, who supposedly cares deeply about children's welfare and is about to receive an award for her work protecting children online, chose to sit front row at their show.
And the most disturbing part is that she was like grifting for Balenciaga. And you know that, well, a while ago they were in this huge scandal because of the, they were pushing with kids.
No, and just a simple Google search would have told her just how controversial and divisive this brand is. Even people who are very fashion forward were disturbed by that ad campaign and precisely what they were trying to communicate with those images.
She had options. She could have skipped Balenciaga and attended other fashion shows. She could have made a statement by her absence. But instead, she gave them her presence and implicit endorsement at a time when the brand was still trying to recover from arguably one of the most disgusting scandals in fashion history. Critics immediately pointed out the hypocrisy. If you're going to position yourself as a child advocate, you can't also show up to publicly support a brand that faced those specific allegations. And maybe, just maybe, that's part of why Markus Anderson stayed so distant. Because being photographed enthusiastically engaging with Meghan at a Balenciaga show, after everything that brand had done, would damage his own reputation and connections in an industry that has long memories. So let's talk about what Markus Anderson's rejection actually signifies, because this goes way deeper than just one awkward moment at a fashion show. Markus has been one of Meghan's most consistent supporters and social connectors. He's the person who helped her build relationships in elite circles. He's been photographed with her at events, he's vouched for her in social situations, he's been a bridge between her actress past and her attempted high society present. For him to publicly distance himself from her at an event like this, in such a visible and cold way, suggests something fundamental has shifted. There are a few possible explanations. Maybe Markus is tired of Meghan's behavior and the constant drama that follows her. Maybe he's been getting pressure from his other connections in fashion and entertainment to create distance. Maybe he's protecting his own reputation by not being too closely associated with someone who's become increasingly controversial. Or maybe, and this is the darkest possibility, Markus was sending Meghan a message. A warning that she's burning bridges faster than she can build them. And even her oldest friends can only tolerate so much before they have to protect themselves. Whatever the reason, the result is the same. Meghan Markle showed up to Balenciaga with someone who was supposed to support her, guide her, and help her navigate that world. And he chose, very publicly, not to do any of those things. That's not just a friend being annoyed in the moment, that's someone making a calculated decision about whether their association with Meghan Markle helps or hurts them. And based on his body language, he decided it hurts. So here's what actually happened at Balenciaga. Meghan Markle showed up trying to prove she still has relevance in elite fashion circles. She brought one of her oldest friends and most important social connections to help her navigate the event successfully. Instead, she violated basic fashion show etiquette with a loud, attention-seeking laugh at the wrong moment. And her own friend publicly rejected her, refusing to even acknowledge her existence in a moment when she desperately needed validation and support. This wasn't just an awkward laugh. This was a crack in Meghan's carefully constructed image, a reminder that you can buy front row seats, you can show up to the right events, you can hire the best PR teams, but you can't buy genuine acceptance from people who see through your performance. And when even your closest friends start treating you like a liability rather than an asset, that's not just a social faux pas. That's your entire strategy falling apart in real time. Meghan came to Paris hoping to compete with Kate Middleton for headlines and prove she still matters in elite circles. What she actually proved is that she's more isolated than ever, desperate for validation that's never coming, and losing support even from the people who used to be in her corner. So, GossipSlice fam, Meghan Markle got rejected at Balenciaga not once, but twice. First by Dame Kristen Scott Thomas, then by her own supposed friend Markus Anderson. And honestly, I don't know which is more embarrassing, being ignored by a stranger who doesn't know you, or being publicly rejected by someone who knows you very well and chose silence anyway. Drop a grimacing face emoji in the comments if watching Meghan get ignored by her own friend made you cringe, and drop a eyes emoji if you think Markus was sending her a message that their friendship is over. Real talk. Would you stay friends with someone whose drama and controversy kept dragging you down? Or would you distance yourself like Markus did? Like this video right now and subscribe to GossipSlice, because we just showed you what happens when desperation meets reality. When someone so hungry for validation and acceptance tries to force their way into circles that have collectively decided they don't want her. The result? Your own friends turn their backs on you in front of the world. This is GossipSlice, where we serve the truth one slice at a time. And the truth is that Meghan Markle's Paris Fashion Week wasn't just unsuccessful. It was a public demonstration that she's run out of allies, run out of goodwill, and run out of people willing to be associated with her chaos. I'll see you in the next one.